everyone. Welcome back to our series of chats between me and Fiona. I'm Viveka and I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I combine my Reiki with my holistic mental health work. And this is Fiona. Fiona, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Hello, welcome everybody. And I'm also a Reiki practitioner, Reiki Master Practitioner, and a teacher of Reiki, and also an art teacher. So I like to teach Reiki energy, and also an animal Reiki practitioner too, which gives me great satisfaction.
And we're here back this week with a topic that we chose because one of our listeners sent in an interesting question about our healing experiences and how we put Reiki to work in a sense. And we thought that would be a nice topic to talk about because we were talking about it a bit through the week. And so it'll be interesting to have a little bit of a conversation about what our own healing experiences have been like. Maybe Fiona, would you like to say a few words on that?
Yes, this was a really lovely question, and we did get asked it a few times. What have you experienced? What healing have you seen? And yeah, I think it's a nice one to answer back to front, really, because we do, I think, with pretty much every Reiki session with somebody else, or indeed I practice self-Reiki or Reiki on animals, that we always experience something that has moved a person forward. And it's not always about that big thing where you go, oh, this miracle happened, or that miracle happened, and this was cured, and that's not cured. Because really, I think it's really understanding what Reiki is. As we chatted about last week, Reiki is universal life force energy, which means that it's the energy all around us. And I think the biggest miracle or the biggest healing I see pretty much on every occasion is somebody healing by connecting again to that universal life force energy. I think when they come in, they're doing a good job of going to work and having a family or having friends, and there's lots of ticks there, but there's just this disconnection still, this feeling that they don't quite know what it's about. Have they fulfilled themselves? Have they found themselves? Where are they? And just I know when we've talked, it's about really the healing magic is when at the end of the Reiki session they feel, yeah, I can feel myself again. I recognize myself. I remember who I was. I remember what I used to enjoy doing. And I remember that I had a path somewhere, and yes, I am worth something, and yet I'm not alone. I mean, that is profound enough. It doesn't have to be a big healing thing like my IBS has gone, or yes, I can stand up to my boss, or it's about going, I'm here, and actually it's about love and going, yeah, actually I'm accepting myself again. Yeah, and that's what we thought, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that because I think you're right. It's more about how Reiki, I mean, for me as well, when I started first, because that's how I came across Reiki, was as a person who went for Reiki treatments myself. And then I was like, this is amazing. I need to learn this. But was that it gives you a sense of that empowerment back to yourself, that you can have these little moments where you realize that your body is connected to your mind, to your energy field, and that it's these little moments, and it, like you said, doesn't have to be a big aha where suddenly everything's fine in the world, but that you're getting to it slowly through the treatments and through your own body telling you the right ways to go about things, which I really
yes it's lovely hearing that. And I often think when I'm with clients, we can talk post session just about maybe things that have come up, or they want to ask, or they want to share, or just release. There's a lot of tears, especially after the first Reiki. But what I don't do often is until the next session, when somebody comes back, ask them really, I can ask them how they're feeling, but if they don't come back because they feel in a much better place, I always want to kind of want to follow it up and say, what did you actually feel? Because it's interesting, that kind of philosophy of I know what I feel with self-Reiki. When you had experience in your first Reiki, did you feel, what were you feeling then? Did you feel like it you were connecting to more yourself as well?
Yeah, it was quite interesting because you suddenly feel this, I mean, I felt it. Everyone has a different experience when they're doing their first, but for me, it was like suddenly a gush of energy through my body, and obviously where the person was touching me in different parts. Suddenly you feel like this heat growing, and it was quite amazing, because you read about it and you see how energy works, but then to actually feel it, and then feel that someone's actually passing that energy through you, was quite profound. And yeah, I definitely felt a lot of unlocking of stuff that I didn't necessarily want to deal with immediately, but it was a very calming. It wasn't something that suddenly came rushing back, and it was through um different healing times that it was coming up, but it was a lot of emotions that came up, but in a calm way. It
Yes.
wasn't like overpowering. That was mine. What about yours? How was your first few
Yeah.
times with Reiki?
And I really like what you said at the end, actually. It's always calming. I think some people are a little bit hesitant, like, what's going to happen? Are they going to feel dreadful afterwards? Could anything be bad? And we've repeated so often, uh, the highest frequency emotion of all is love. And
Mm,
the healing always takes place in the highest energy of love.
yeah.
And people always, if they're just because they're releasing doesn't mean it's bad. They just, it's a joyous release, and then it suddenly stops. um, but my first Reiki experience was years ago, well before actually I became a Reiki practitioner. I was in the middle of Earl's Court Exhibition Centre in London, and they had a vitality show.
Mm,
And I'd never even heard of it before. I mean, I was still at that point feeling connected, but not realizing how I was. I could feel energies in different substances around me, like
mhm,
the nature and flowers and stones, as I said before, and I could
mhm,
maybe pick up on what people were feeling in their jewelry, but I hadn't gone any further. That was still all inside.
mm,
And then I saw a stand that said about balancing your yin and yang, and do you feel a little bit out of sorts? I think I had a dodgy knee, and maybe a little bit of IBS maybe. And I lay down on this massage table, and the guy didn't even put his hands on me, and I could feel this incredible heat in my body. And and I was thinking, how can he be heating up my knee and my stomach with no
mm.
physical contact? But obviously he was in my chakras. And then I had this out of body experience where I felt my body lift up,
Wow.
and I suddenly realized that my body was my vessel. I mean, an amazing
Wow.
body, all the universes that are happening in us. I felt my body lift up, and I could see what was happening, and I did two best, and then I felt scared and kind of fell down in it. But
The mind takes
I
over.
was just, what is happening? And then afterwards, when we'd finished the session, I mean, it really cleared up my asthma. I felt just so tearful, like I was crying, but I felt like I was traveling about a foot above the world. But I realized that my spirit, my energy was Fiona, and my body was the blessed vehicle I was traveling around in, and I had a duty of care to look after it. That's what I really got the most from it. Yes.
That's beautiful.
And
Amazing experience.
yeah, I think it's really nice just to share what people really feel. So one other thing I think we've been chatting about with this, the idea of Reiki's universal life force energy and
Yeah.
connecting,
Yeah.
is that so often we want to go, we're all about outcome driven in
Yeah.
this world, and we're kind of like, I've achieved if I've done this,
Mm,
or I've achieved if I've done that. And we it's about that, actually it is, has been said so often, it's about the journey and the experiences to make us feel connected again.
yeah.
um, so it's the general experiences, but along the way, when we feel good about ourselves, then the rest kind of
Falls
follow.
in place. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the other way
we
we'll
were
have an
talking
answer.
about this person called Joseph Campbell, who used to write a lot about myths and universal myths from around the world, and how
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of, I mean, past civilizations, and then through to stories in our, in our films and things these days, like George Lucas and stuff, they pick up on these myths about a universal, again, a universal life force, and these symbols that human beings have always had to go within
Yes.
themselves, and then also know that their body and their souls, yeah, the body is a vessel, and the soul is something that comes and goes. um, and then what we were talking about is sometimes we forget that in our modern day, fast paced, money driven world, where it's very about like, it's about taking power over nature. Like we want to, like have nature in our power, but we don't realize that we're part of that nature. We're very enmeshed in it, and we're not separate from it. So I think with Reiki, that's what some that we both have been reminded about, is that you have that energy that is going through everything around you, and then it flows through us, and it flows into who, if we're doing Reiki treatments, into the person that we're treating as well. And then it's this beautiful kind of flowing of energy.
Yes, that's so beautifully put. And you're right. I think if more people had the philosophy of kind of experience the Reiki so they can feel connected, we wouldn't, we'd probably be better and kinder to the planet, because if you feel more connected to everything else, we wouldn't see ourselves as the human at the center. And it's like with over 70% of our world is oceans. So we're actually sea peoples, but we still see ourselves so much as land peoples, and the sea's over there, and it's, we put things in it and we take things from it. But if we actually see ourselves, you know, as the sea is the first and the land is the second, and then we see actually all the other species, like all the marine species, there's more of them than us. And again, if we see ourselves symbiotic to the animal world, we'll just see it all connected. But I think it goes beyond that. We see ourselves so isolated, like here is Earth, and here's Earth, and here's the rest of the universe. And I think as long as we keep seeing ourselves as like islands, like, you know, it's just us and there's the people over there, or we're just land people and the sea's over there, or just Earth and the universe is over there. We always feel ourselves so separate and always fighting against everything, and who can be the best just to kind of have identity. But if we can feel that connection, this genuine soft connection, not in a threatening competition, but as part of something, not only gives us community and understanding, but it can make, I think it makes us feel more loved and part of something, that it's not just the here and now, it's eternity.
I love that. Yeah, that I think it helps you feel less, you against the world, or you know that these achievements that we want to have are like something that are far away and not something achievable. You know, it's like if you we realize that it's all a flow, that you feel less threatened by other people's energies, and less sort of thrown about by your own emotions as well, I think. Because I think that was one of the questions. Another question was, how do we stay light and grounded when we're around other people's energies that might not be that good, either at work or around like
that's right,
toxic people or negative energies. How does one stay grounded in oneself? So Fiona, would you like?
Yeah, I saw that question actually. Yeah, I saw that question. I think when because we live in London, we can go on tubes, and it's nice on one hand seeing all the different people, and I love London because it's a whole world in one place. But sometimes you just sometimes it can be a little bit much when you just want your own little space in your own thoughts. Maybe in the morning you're not quite ready. And when you just feel sometimes you just want to just keep your own little energy to yourself, just so you can have your own meditative moment. The contracting, the Hu Yin, I hope I've said that right, the Hu Yin, where you can pull in your pelvic floors and you put your tongue just behind your mouth, your teeth like this, and you just kind of pull in your like energetic energy, just to kind of give yourself a little bit of a protection around there. And you're not holding your breath, you're just kind of pulling in your energy. I think I said this last week actually, it's like I sometimes imagine myself like a ball of the elastic bands, and you can pull out your energy and pull it back in. You can be interested in other things that are all part of energy and pull it back in. And I think it's just pulling in your energy when you want to, and when you're ready you can go and share with everybody. I think that's one aspect of many. Another one is in your mind. If you've got somebody who's been quite defensive in front of you and wants to kind of push their own agenda on you, you can in your mind just physically just imagine stepping yourself back. I mean, if you step back you can do that, but they might then step towards you. But if you're just actually surrounding yourself in protection, in light, and then just imagine and just remember in that moment, just go, I am loved. This is not my baggage, it is their baggage. I'm okay in myself, I'm okay in my truth. Whatever they're saying to me, it's a bit of a smoke screen for whatever they've experienced, whether it's the trauma or attitudes you on them, and just what they need to project. Actually, I'm okay, I'm just going to let them be, but I'm just going to protect myself and stand out. What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think, like you said, one is having this little bubble of energy of protection around us, so that you have a little shield of pure loving energy around, and then you're not feeling, it's like a little bubble where others' energies are not, especially if you're quite empathic and tend to suck up energies of people around, which is just sometimes natural for people. Then that helps to not suck up when you don't want to. I mean, when, you know, especially sometimes at work, when you're around people every day and their moods might be coming in the way of stuff. And I really like that, it's their baggage and it's not something, because I think a lot of times we have the tendency of taking on other people's baggage emotionally, but then energetically as well. And that can stay on with us way after we've left that person and gone back to our own space. And so I think one other way I've learned from my Reiki teacher, Sujata Malik in Delhi, she's lovely. She taught us about cutting cords, energetic cords. So you almost
Yes.
imagine a little light coming from your solar plexus to the other person. You imagine
Yeah.
literally cutting that and saying, I cut, heal, and release that energy of that person. And that's really been
Yeah.
helpful for me, at least, to
Yes.
not take on and hold on to energies way
And
after.
exactly, and it's about keeping light, and it's not about going, I've got to accept what that other person's doing.
Mhm.
It's just going, actually, I'm not going to let that. I'm deciding that it's not about me. It really is about them, and I'm just going to not mirror that back. That's completely wrong. There's a kind of just kind of let it fly off me, brush it off, because
Brush it
really
off. I like that. Yeah.
I'm not accepting it. I'm never going to accept their behavior, but I understand that they've obviously had things going on, so I'm going to try and brush it off, and then you can always do
Yeah.
the
Cutting.
cool.
And then I think one is to just do whatever in your ways to improve your own energy balance. So if you're
Yeah,
even for some people it's exercise, yoga, but whatever balances you back into your own center. Uh, I mean, every day if possible, but not, I mean, even if it's a few times a week, that helps you get
yeah.
back to your own center and not feel so scattered and all over the place.
Yes, yeah, and as a Reiki practitioner, it's always good to do Reiki every day, or do these very little bite-sized meditations just for
Mhm.
grounding as well. Just even just
Right.
simply just sitting and refeeling your body and just sending out love and just feeling all connected. And then you realize that you don't polarize and overthink about the one person, and
Mm-hmm.
go, actually, do you know what I sometimes do
Mm-hmm.
when I feel that there's some things that might have come up that feel bigger, is I imagine myself coming all the way back from the earth, and I'm kind of flying back, and then I see the earth from above, and I start going way back, and when I look down on the earth and then I imagine all the animals and all the noise and all the energy, I just realize that that person or that incident or that is, it's really not important. When you begin again, it's a Reiki philosophy, really, isn't it? It's seeing everything connected,
Mm.
and when we see it as the bigger view, the wider view, rather than just that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very difficult when somebody's there, but it's just going, actually, no, I'm going to sit on a wider plane, and I'm not going to polarize just what you're doing and what
Yeah.
you're acting like.
I like that. So Fiona, can you give an example of someone that you worked with and a little bit of how you've seen them um, like Reiki, or find that there's a difference in their life with Reiki? Because that was something that some people were quite interested in knowing when we shared last
Yes.
time. Yeah.
um a couple general. I'm not too sure about giving very specific examples, because I'd have to get more permission for the
Of course.
person.
Yeah.
But it's lovely um, when I have been raking. There was a few older ladies who had their children, had their family, and they were kind of wondering where they were in all of this. And sometimes it just really comes through. For me, I get these like visions of suddenly just a moment of them stitching or singing, and after the treatment, I will say, because I'd never want to say, you have to do this. That's just, it's not my decision. It's for them. I just say, oh, I saw this. Does it mean anything to you? And 100% they'll say, actually, I used to really love doing this. I've missed it, and I might think, but I feel awkward. I feel embarrassed, and it's just reminding ourselves that it's not doing it for anybody else. If you want to sing, sing. If you want to do something that feels that somebody else might consider childish, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no rights or wrongs. It should. And what is so amazing is the miracle is not what happened then, is that they actually then went and did it, and you could see his transformation of them finding themselves again. And the next time, there's one girl, but on the other end of the age spectrum, she was young and she'd had a very challenging upbringing, and she actually felt brave enough through going through the Reiki to get her voice out, and she's now what's it called when you raise lots of money? I think it's called this funding. She's actually able to record her first song now. So she'd written all these songs and felt the songs, but she wasn't brave enough to put them out. And the Reiki energy gave her the confidence. And now she's recorded this and she's sharing with other people. And then again, the knock-on effect is sending her healing and her sharing out.
So you must have
She can
balanced
feel all her
the throat chakra, maybe also throat and lower chakras, to just feel more that she can be true to her own voice. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And the couple of other ladies, they joined choirs, and there's just, you could feel the transformation. They just look more confident. You can see it in somebody's face, you can feel it, see it in their psyche. And it's not a quick fix, it's a long-term thing. And this is what we want. And I think this is what they call alternative therapies, but it should actually be the first step, is those things which aren't medicinal, but actually we could put right at the beginning to really get somebody feeling more about themselves, recognize themselves, feel more in control of themselves, and feel proud of themselves. Like it's all, you know, that little risk, but they can connect again. So it might sound like a little thing, but to those people it's a huge thing. Huge thing. They remembered who they were again, and then they could apply that joyousness to other situations. And
that's lovely. You know, I also had someone who was trying to change their fields and was feeling quite confused, and then I think through just feeling her body back again, she also had IBS, which she's been helping. I mean, the Reiki, but other things as well, holistic healings have helped her connect back to her body and understand that it's not just the symptom of the IBS, but that it's all a whole connected thing system. That's been lovely to see. But also that she's understood that she wants to get into yoga and bodily things as well through this realization about herself and what she really wants to give back to people, which is amazing. She wants to be a yoga teacher and stuff, which is lovely. And then I think I remember, sorry?
You just remind me of something. You're right. And when they feel these connections and release the throat chakra, other parts of the body get resolved as well. Like often the knee or left hand knee often gets stiff, and it's that not moving forward, and then suddenly those pains go away. You're right. It is.
I just had that like 3 days ago. I always know now, whenever my knees start hurting, I'm like, what am I feeling scared to step into? And it could be like these videos, could be like voicing my stuff more, and then I had to just sit with it for a while and give myself some. But at least I know now that, you know, that's a symptom of me not wanting to step forward and a bit of fear. That was amazing. But there was another example that I had of we had spoken about this when I had come to you when we were doing a Reiki swap, and you had talked about these visions that come to you, or these, I mean, they're not visions, but they're like pictures that will come, like you were talking about something, something from their life, and you might share that with them and open up. And for me, I had felt like I can sense things but not visions, but that I think unlocked something for me. And just a second, I think there was so it unlocked something for me, and I had the session with the person who I suddenly saw a picture of a cycle going really fast, and almost like she's falling over something like a wooden log on the road that she doesn't see. And it was amazing because I was able to talk to her about, you know, do you enjoy cycling, and is there something that's holding you back from doing something in your life? And both those just made so much sense to her, because she also had not been doing cycling and other stuff that she really enjoys with her body for a long time, and she was just like amazed that came up. And it's like that, it's these little clues that can reopen up stuff within the healer, but also the person that you're working with.
Yes. And I don't know, because we don't always have we're not going to have all the answers. I don't know whether they're little spiritual shares or whether it's the person's memory or loves have come out, and that love that they might have had before have come out a bit like an unseen television program, like the wave, like, you know, what came out, it just comes into our mind, like we just suddenly managed to tune into that common ground. And it's never about the reading minds, it's nothing like that. I think it's because it often happens around the throat, the heart, or the solar plexus. And maybe it's just that love of what they had is because they're in quite a deep state when they're aching. It just comes out enough for you to or your spirit and their spirit can share that and recognize that love for that passion that they had. I also had another experience, but I don't know whether to talk about it now or later, because it's to do with animal Reiki.
Maybe you can
and the connection.
share a little
so it
bit,
might be something we keep for another.
Yeah, we can do a more detailed one about that at another time. But you can maybe mention it quickly if it come up.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes people ask for Reiki for their pets, their companions, and sometimes it's behavioural, but more really it's if on this particular occasion when the animals, the dog in this case, had been diagnosed with a cancer. And so the owner, the lady, came along with her dog, and it was wonderful because we could really see the connection, and the animals really respond to Reiki energy because it's a vibration, they can feel it. And we realized that actually we kind of worked around, rather than going, here's a massage table, dog here, lady here, I had the lady lay down on the sofa and the dog curled up at the end of the sofa, and I could see that connection. But when you start putting your hands on the dog, you have to let the animal decide how much they want, so you kind of very cautionally start. But I could suddenly feel, like, you know, those impressions we say, feel how the dog felt responsible for the owner, and it was almost like they didn't want to leave there was a retriever as well, they didn't want to leave the owner, they felt that they should be there, and the dog recognized it was ill. And then I did Reiki with the person, and it was the lady, and it was almost like the lady had to accept that the dog was ready to go but wasn't going quite yet, because they wanted to feel like they wanted to be there with the owner. And the owner needed to say yes, it's okay to go. And that's when the healing started, and you could really feel, and the dog went into such a relaxed, almost like it's like this still, just before a storm happens, this real stillness, we could almost feel the heaviness. And what was so profound is I could almost feel what the dog was thinking and feeling, but with no words. And I think this is it, when connection's a proper connection, whether it's between friends or family or animals or nature, it's that the unspoken. It's the same as when people go, oh, I knew that person was going to phone. Nobody told you, you just knew. You just knew. And that's what it is, when those impressions of real miracles, you just connect that person and you, animal, you just connect for that moment in spirit, and you understand everything. And that's really quite profound. And
I think with that note, that lovely note, we should wrap up this week's
yes.
And
we could talk for hours.
and we'll chat again next week. I think there's lots of questions that come in, interesting questions that have been coming in. I think one that we can talk about next week is when is Reiki really needed? I think we covered a little bit about that this time, but we can get into it more. And what is Reiki? Is it an ongoing process, or is it just during the healing? And we can
really good question. Yeah.
So yeah, lovely.
Really nice. Yeah, yes, lovely to talk to you as well, and we'll catch up anyway during the week. And thank you so much. I enjoy our chatting, and it'll be a nice subject to discuss next week.
And the tea.
And yeah, cheers. What are you drinking today?
Chai again, the Indian.
Oh yeah, it's nice. Mine's just a lemon and ginger today. So cheers, and have a beautiful and blessed and happy and joyous week to everybody.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.